The Wintertodt has changed forever with today's game update. It is Wednesday again, which means we have a game update today, and because I'm making a video, that means it's a relatively decent sized update. So let's take a look and get into it. Wintertodt updates and Varlamore drop rates, and Wintertodt is the main part of this news post. And they start off by saying, PSA, you may have noticed we've been doing a lot of maintenance lately. They've improved their infrastructure, and this week and going forward, there will be no downtime during game updates except for major content launches. As someone who lives in the Pacific time zone where the game updates happen at 3 a.m., I'm never awake for the game updates. So I actually didn't realize that there's downtime between when they take the servers offline and when the game comes back up. So I don't even know how long it was, but going forward, it's only going to be a minute or two now. Here's a summary of the list of changes to the minigame, but we are going to go through the full length thing. If you had logged out before the update in the Wintertodt arena, then you'll be moved to outside the Doors of Din, or on the Deadman world, you will have been relocated to the bank. The first thing and the main thing, and really I think the biggest part of this update, is the warmth meter. When you go into the minigame now, or boss fight, whatever you want to call it, in the top left there's going to be an orange bar that says your warmth, and the warmth bar replaces your hit points. This is the new resource that you need to keep topped up. And when you take damage from the Toad, the basic and the special attacks, it's going to do damage to your warmth rather than your hit points. But just like before, when you're wearing warm clothing or lighting more braziers, that will reduce the damage that you take to your warmth. The sprouting roots, which is where you collect the bruma herbs from that you use to make the potions, those have now been moved into the lobby. And they also remove the farming XP that you get from it. So instead of getting, I don't really remember what it was, like 1 or 2 farming XP, now you get no farming XP. Ooh, as I'm trying to enter, I'm getting this message saying that please be aware that the Toad has been modified since your last encounter. For full details, find this news post from October 2024 or check the wiki. Alright, thank you. I wanted to see if you still don't take damage when you're in the lobby. That's how it was before, because if you don't take damage here, that makes it a bit more chill, pun intended, collecting the bruma herbs, because previously they were, I guess they still have them up here. They had the bruma herbs up here where you had to collect them and you would take damage since you were in the main area. Can you fletch in the lobby? Yeah, you can. Now back to the warmth meter. The damage that everyone takes to their warmth is universal. It's the same for everyone, no matter what your hit points is, whether you've got 10 or 99. You'll take the same amount of damage, and then you'll use the same amount of resources to replenish it, no matter what your hit points is. It's a completely separate thing. They say that 100% warmth is equivalent to how 10 hit points was before this change. As this game is about to end, I was curious if the bruma herbs would get deleted from your inventory, but they do not. This method explains how you can restore your warmth. The first method is over time. Just like with hit points, warmth will naturally regen over time. You'll regen 8% warmth every minute, plus an additional 1% for each piece of warm clothing that you wear. The next way to restore your warmth is with food. As long as a piece of food provides at least 4 hit points per bite, like cake, you'll replenish 35% of your warmth upon eating it. Does that mean no matter how much health the food heals, as long as it's 4, it's always gonna be 35%? So like a lobster heals way more than 4 hit points. Does that mean it still only restores 35%? Let's find out. Yep, it's only 35%, or that was 34%, but close enough. Next question I have is, when does something heals less than 4 hit points normally? Pineapple rings are a pretty popular thing for UIMs and maybe some other lower level Ironman accounts. These only heal 2 hit points each. Will these even do anything? Or will they not even work at all? They don't restore any of your warmth. So the pineapple ring method is dead. And the other method for restoring your warmth now is the rejuvenation potion. Besides for being able to heal the pyromancers, you can now also restore yourself. It will restore 30% of your warmth per dose. It's 4 doses, so it's a total of 120% that you get out of each potion. And how do you make the potion? I'll grab the herb, take a concoction out the crate, combine them, and now you have a 4-dose potion. Very simple to sustain, and you also get Herblore XP from it. The left click on the potions is now drink rather than use, and when you heal the pyros, you have to use the potion on them. So to prevent people from having to do a whole extra right click, they've now added a left click option to the pyromancers to heal them. So we have this pyro that's down. You can see there's the left click help option, and boom, healed, and you do get points still for doing that. It really seems though, I mean, I haven't tried this yet, but it really seems like that making the potions is going to be the way to go to sustain yourself. Like, people probably aren't going to bring in food anymore. You still can if you want to, like if new Ironmen want to do the whole cake thing that they used to always do, but I have a feeling these potions will be the thing that people end up using. Due to the feedback they got, I assume from the beta test worlds, they've incorporated various additional sources of regen into the warmth system, including Heal Other, Redemption, the Regen Brace, the Hit Points Cape. One very important thing to remember is that the cold is fatal. If your warmth goes to 0, that's the same as your hit points going to 0. You will die, and that is a dangerous activity for hardcores. You will lose your status. But the Ring of Life, Defense Cape, and Phoenix Necklace do work with warmth, the same way that they would work with hit points. On to other Wintertodt changes. They've added a few more items that now count as warm clothing, so you can wear these. A very nice quality of life thing they've added is that there's a slightly longer cooldown on being interrupted while you're fletching. You'll be guaranteed to fit in a few fletches before you're interrupted, and you don't have to deal with this string of interruptions of getting attacked over and over and not being able to fletch a single thing. Another new change is the reward pile. And this is right outside the bank, which it's different in the picture than it is in game. This is a pile of crates. Rather than the reward pile being a pile of crates, we have the reward cart. Rather than getting a bunch of crates, which you would have to decide to either hold on to or open up now to save bank space, instead you'll get searches added to the reward pile. It has the big search option if you want to loot 5 at once instead of doing 1 at a time, if that would take too long. This will alleviate bank space issues, and it'll be nice for UIMs. You can now track how many rewards you've claimed from the toad directly in the collection log. I wonder what that looks like for me, if it's going to say 0 or if it actually knows how many rewards I've gotten. The moment of truth. Oh, wow, it does know how many claims I've gotten. That's really interesting that it retroactively tracked that, so they had that information stored in the game the whole time. And the last change to Wintertodt is that when you enter, you'll get a message in the chat box if you're not wearing 4 pieces of warm clothing. And that's a wrap for the Wintertodt changes. Now hop onto Wintertodt and chill. Good one, Jagex. No one's allowed to be funnier than me in my own video. If you didn't know, you can use the Torch in place of a tinderbox, and if you want to be able to equip the axe and the torch at the same time, there's a swap option and it becomes an offhand Torch, and you could save an inventory spot that way, which leads to some pretty interesting things you could do if you have 2 of them. That's so goofy. The same thing works for the Imkondo hammer as well, just wanted to throw that out there. Up until the last couple years, it's pretty much been the meta for irons to start off their accounts by going to Wintertodt and getting 99 firemaking, for multiple reasons too. I mean, getting some starting GP, the skilling loot, having a cape with decent stats early on, and because it was beneficial to get 99 firemaking when you were low hit points, which was because damage used to scale based on your max HP. However, in more recent times, Jagex has been adding a lot of activities that have been changing the early game meta, especially for irons, like Temperos, Guardians of the Rift, Hunter Rumors, and plenty more. And a lot of new irons have strayed away from the stereotypical firemaking starting route, not because firemaking necessarily became a bad or inefficient route, but naturally, when you have more options, people will be more spread out, and there's going to be less people doing each one. I'm a big fan of these changes personally. It makes people feel less obligated to do Wintertodt as early as possible, and you won't feel bad for starting your account by questing or slaying or doing other things that get your hit points up. There's no worry that you missed out on training firemaking, and now that you've gotten your hit points up a bit, you're going to have to wait until you have a big stack of food or an upgraded house. You can freely come back here to train anytime whenever the urge strikes, and you're not going to be punished for it. I'd recommend using Entity Hider to hide others so that it's easier to tell what's going on and where you are, and maybe prevent lag if you're in the mass world, and hide others 2D so that you don't see other people's damage splats, and you'll be able to tell easier which is your own. When the game ends, instead of getting a crate, you can see that it tells me how many rewards I got added to my reward pile. Normally, this is where if you were a low level, you'd go to the bank to open or store your crate, heal up, grab more food, and run back. Or a high level character would tele to their POH to restore at the pool, use the jewelry box to teleport back, open or bank their crate, and make it back in time for the next game to start. But that is no longer a thing that people have to do. There's no crates to bank, and the only upkeep keep is maybe making a few potions in between games if you're running low, but you can stay in the arena the whole time. You do not have to leave. If you do leave though, your potions will disappear and you'll have to make more when you go back in. If you're just getting started here, maybe you'd want to come out like once per hour to search the cart to see if you get any pyro pieces, since the pyro set does give you an XP boost for firemaking, but I feel like most people wouldn't consider it worth the effort to come out here and check after every single game, especially considering your potions will disappear. That is it for the Wintertodt section of the news post. The rest of it is all about changes to Varlamore. They have now released the drop rates for a bunch of things in Varlamore, and before they get into the drop rates, they want to mention that they've taken feedback into account and they have tweaked these things with Huey. The soiled page drop rate has been increased slightly, and the quantity has been increased from 30 to 80. And then for the Hueycoatl hide drop, they have increased the drop rate significantly, and it also now drops 2 to 3 instead of 1, which is great for Ironmen because there is a master stash unit that requires the quaff and the vambraces. The quaff is 2 hides and the vambraces is 1 hide. So you do need 3 hides, which means there is a chance that you could get it done in 1 hide drop since you get 2 to 3, but at worst it'll take you 2 of the hide drops. Whereas previously, when you'd only get 1 hide at a time, it would always take 3 of the hide drops. Plus, they've now significantly buffed the drop rate of it too, which helps even more. The following drop rates are after they have done these increases. So the base chance to roll on the uniques table is now 1 in 23. This is scaled based on your contribution. So if you're in a solo, for example, you'd be doing 100% of the damage, so you would get 100% of this drop rate. You'd be getting drops at a rate of 1 out of 23. Point M. But for example, if you're in a 5-man team and all players did equal damage, then your drop rate would be 1/5 of that. So if you multiply that by 5, 1/5 would be 1 out of 115. And the MVP gets a 10% increase to their rate. If you're curious about what the drop rates are, this is the chance to get each of the things. Next, we have the Amoxliatl drop rates. This boss is, I'd say it's like a Scurrius style boss where it's meant to introduce mechanics to newer players that maybe Scurrius doesn't introduce. It drops the Icy Torag's Hammers 1 out of 100, the Pendant for teleporting around 1 out of 25, Elites are 1 in 200, and the Pet is 1 in 3k. Next is the Wyrm Agility Course. This is the drop rate to get the Squirrel from it. The basic course, these are the base chances by the way. The basic course is 1 in 28.5k, the advanced course is 1 in 25.4k. Some very minor changes related to Hueycoatl. The empty and charged Tome of Earth versions now have the same placeholder in the bank, just like how other tomes do. The PB broadcast for killing Huey was not showing in the clan channel, now it does, and players can no longer prevent being kicked down the mountain when the Huey fight restarts. Next, we've got some changes to Mixology. You'll now get bonus points if you submit multiple potions at a time. You'll get 20% bonus points if you submit 2 potion orders, and 40% if you submit 3 at once. This next one I'm very happy about and excited for. The potion storage now has a toggle option to where when you deposit your potions from your inventory, you can have them go directly into the potion storage without the potion storage having to actually be open. When I got the potion storage, I put most of my potions in here, at least the ones I didn't use frequently, including the 1, 2, and 3 doses of all the potions, except for maybe the few that I would pre-pot with, in order to free up a bunch of bank space. But very quickly, my bank has been overrun with potions yet again, because every time I finish a Slayer task or a boss task or boss trip, I deposit everything into the bank, and of course that means the potions go directly into the bank because I'm not thinking every time opening up the potion storage to deposit, going out of the potion storage deposit. It's just like extra effort and steps that I haven't really thought about. So anyways, we now have a toggle. Oh, they changed up how this tab looks. So there's a toggle now, an option to always deposit to potion store. So let's see how that looks now when I take out these potions and maybe some other things I was using for my Slayer task. When I deposit, these should go into the potions. Here, let me, I'll actually take out all these and remove the placeholders. Now when I deposit, these potions should go directly into the potion storage even though I don't have the potion storage open. Let's see if that's the case. Wow. Yeah, this is so much better. I'm so glad they did that. And finally for Mixology, we have this list of smaller fixes that they did. I'm not going to go through all these because none of them are really that important. I'd just be straight up reading them anyway, so you can pause and read through them if you want. Next is changes to the Colossal Wyrm Agility course. First off, they've increased the XP. They increased the obstacle XP and the completion XP, which should bump it up to about 44k XP per hour. Another concern you've raised with us was that amylase rates were still too low compared to the Arty course, because I believe when this course was proposed, it was proposed as being the best way to get amylase in the game, at the cost of being much less XP per hour. So they've now increased the amount of termites that you gain on the advanced course from 8 to 10 to 12 to 15. So that's an increase of, it was an average of 9 to now 13.5. However, the termite course retains the 8 to 10 amount of termites that you get. And because the first couple obstacles of the course are shared with the basic course, those first couple obstacles will still be 8 to 10. It's only after you branch off into the advanced section of the course that you will get the 12 to 15 in that section. I'll spare you from showing all the calculations I did because I know most of you don't care, but compared to the Arty rooftop course, this should be about the same amount of amylase that you get per hour. So it's about the same amylase per hour, way less XP, slightly more AFK. I mean, it's not AFK, but the intervals between clicks are a bit longer than the Arty course, but the main benefit is that it's a way lower requirement. You only need 62 agility versus 90 agility with Arty. Although another thing to consider is that an Ironman with 62 agility probably doesn't have the Herbler level yet to make staminas, but they will eventually get that level and will be very glad that they got the extra amylase. After the Wyrm course, we have some miscellaneous Varlamore changes. Again, these are all pretty minor, so you can pause and read through them if you want. And then two final things in the news post in the other changes section. Well, the last one doesn't matter, but this first one is nicer. The Mortmire fungi will now go into the open reagent pouch automatically as you pick them from the logs in Mortmire, which is kind of funny because I know that my duo teammate Spookdog just spent a couple hours the other day collecting Mortmire fungus for 99 Herblore, and I know she was using the pouch for that, so of course right after she finishes that, they make this update. So today's update was another big win for team Wait for the Game to Get Easier, and a big L for team Abuse Early, Abuse Often. Let me know what you think of the update, what you liked, or if you think anything needs more tweaking. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.